that question. Again, we're getting into the presumption land, right? If we're going out for dinner, I want to know who's paying. Walk in. Excuse me. Is everything that happens in this courtroom a matter of public record? Not just on the record. Well, yeah, sure, it's on the record. Okay? I want to know if it's a matter of public record. Because that's the stuff they can't get out of. Everything else is private up to that point. If it's private, never happened. Privacy is between the parties.
So once the judge walks out, then the prosecutor's gone, the case.
They'll just reconvene another time, or they'll do whatever type thing, right? And that's about the time where you want to. That's why, I mean, you can do that, but be prepared for the fact they're either going to call sheriffs, they're just going to get up and walk out. Something else nasty that I haven't even thought of yet or had happen to me is going to happen. It's not going to solve anything, right? Especially because they don't like being embarrassed publicly. They really don't like that. If you want to deal with it, and again, you're now embarrassing the court when the problem is the Crown has brought a claim against you.
But wait. Isn't this contempt? Many people are held in contempt of court.
Yep.
Isn't this contempt? Bringing anything into the court record that is against the court itself is considered contempt.
No.
For some strange reason.
No, I wouldn't say that at all. In fact, somebody I know, I read the affidavit and I should have known better, and I read through it, and the affidavit that they were filing into summary conviction was fine, and I didn't realize that the person had accused the previous judge of contempt of court in the affidavit. I didn't realize it at first, and I'm like, well, you can't accuse somebody in their own court of committing contempt of court kind of thing, right? It's their own jurisdiction, they can't. So it's another reason you just don't want to get into that stuff there. But the minute you say, I'm convening a court of public record, and everything is now a matter of public record, and they've been made aware of that, that's the difference, right? If you just go on with what they think is a private hearing, and you come along afterwards and you shove some transcript in there to get it all on the public record, even though they thought they were convening a private hearing, right? That's very bad. I wouldn't do that. I'm sure you could, now there's privacy issues there too, right? So that's why we got to just keep people basically out of summary convictions altogether. Just don't even go there. Handle administratively before you get there. And that means that your problem is now with the Crown. So deal with the Crown before your first hearing. He's the guy dragging you into court. Period. So why aren't we contacting these people in advance and asking questions from them? Everybody goes there and they're like, well, I didn't get full disclosure, right? Well, I gave him full disclosure. Well, yeah, but there's you know, I don't see, you know, there's nothing in here that proves that la 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 and all this kind of nonsense and everything else, right? Disclosure is a bunch of crap we don't care about anyways. And disclosure, nothing from this disclosure except for the original complaint is actually in the judge's file. It's all nonsense. It's all just private discussions back and forth between the two parties, right? So one of the things I would do is when I send a letter to a Crown or to government of any type, the top of my documents always says this document is a matter of public record. I've shown you on that on my documents before, everything. So when I contact them, now I want them to know I'm not contacting them privately. This is a matter of public record. I'm going to make this a matter of public record. Just be aware of that in my dealings with you, right? So that's just being honorable. I want them to know I'm not going to get them into a little secret room where I catch them with a bag full of money sliding under the table to me and then go right to the media.
But it doesn't matter if it's to the government, to anybody else. You got to say it's an important notice. You got to take care.
An important. You know what? I don't give a shit about important notices. If it's not a matter of public record, it's private. There's only two. There's private matters and there's public record matters. End of story. So let them know right at the outset, just so you're aware, you're paying for dinner.
If it was a private matter, then it would be contract. And since you didn't,
It is a contract. It's a private contract. Okay? No, don't, yeah. But we'll talk about that another time. It is all private contract, period. Only when you bring a civil claim against somebody in a public record arena is everything that's done. You can.
Sorry, but there's even greater than just between you and the government. There's you and everybody else.
Of course, but that's.
So that's yours.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all good. Okay, so that deals with that, and I can't remember if I was going to make another point. Okay, so now we want to deal with the Crown before criminal charges, or after criminal charges have been laid. We're now in court for 5 counts of whatever they're claiming nonsense that we've been charged with. So, we want to contact the Crown. We want to ask the Crown some simple questions. Well, if you guys are bringing a claim against me, I want you to prove some certain things. What would be a couple of good things that maybe the Crown should have to prove?
What you did,
Well,
or who you are.
no, because they always find you guilty of the facts. Always. Right? They just charge me with standing here. Yep, you're standing there, you're right, he's guilty. Okay, how much of a fine is that? Okay, that's what happens in summary conviction. They've got a fine in there for standing the wrong way, if you're a public servant. Okay, well, number one, you should be contacted. Are you claiming that I was acting as a public servant at the time the complaint was being made? Do you think they're going to reply to that?
No.
No. So you may want to send it registered mail, let them know it's a matter of public record. Even just registered mail, just ask them. Not even using that nonsense. The only reason I do that is I'm doing much worse stuff to them. So, yeah. So that's a really good question. Or a simple statement. How about an affidavit that you sent to the Crown that they haven't rebutted by the time court comes around? In fact, you can even go to summary conviction and say, actually, I have some affidavits I've sent off to the Crown that they haven't rebutted to or responded to yet. I'd like another couple of weeks to clear that up before I come back here to file it all into the court record. Okay, that's a nice way of dealing with things. You don't want to embarrass these people. They get very angry when you do that. That's that whole corned animal kind of thing, right? Okay. If you want to, if you want to ask the Crown lots of questions, I think I wrote down my answer to what I think would be a very, very key part of a Crown's case. If they're claiming that you're a public servant and you are acting, and again, we talked about this when the cameras weren't on, just because you have a driver's license and you produce it when it's asked for, it doesn't mean you are acting in the capacity of a driver or a public servant at the time they asked for the license. It's like a cop showing his badge at a dinner party. Hey guys, look, I'm a cop. Shows, yeah, look at my badge. Okay, is he on duty? No. He's just getting drunk and showing his ID, right? Not only that, the driver's license is property of the province. So when a public servant demands it from you, you have to give it to them. It's their property, right? Does that prove you were acting as a public servant at that point in time?
But what I know is that recently there's been a cop, or not even a cop, some impersonator convicted of impersonating. And you can order this shit online.
Yeah,
You know?
I know. It's irrelevant though.
But they recycle badges.
So, okay, so there you go. So impersonating. So that actually would fit right into this. So what would be the best way to have the Crown prove your case for you? That you could not possibly be performing a function of government at the time you were pulled over. It's a pretty simple one for me. Produce the payroll records. Produce the payroll records. It's a pretty good way of proving I wasn't on the clock as a public servant when you pulled me over. Or that I've ever been acting as a public servant, because government has payroll, do they not? Doesn't matter what department you're working for, doesn't matter what service you're providing, there will be a government payroll record of it.
So you're saying that they have to have a government payroll record of me?
It'd be one good way. If they can't produce a payroll record, you're being paid on the government payroll to perform a function of government, then how could you possibly have been acting as a public servant?
The government has to produce evidence
They have to produce evidence.
that it has contract with you.
Payroll record.
Normally, that's payroll.
Exactly, yeah. What service were you claiming I was performing? Do you have a record of that? They have records of everything. It's the government. Your CRA file is 8 miles thick. They've got a record of everything.
What if you're collecting UI?
What does that prove?
You're in contract.
It would be EI. If anything, it actually proves you're not working. You're on EI.
Unemployed?
Yeah. Well, you were working because you were receiving EI. It's like, well, actually, wouldn't that mean that I wasn't working? That's the whole reason we collect EI, isn't it?
Of course, it could be argued that you're accepting government benefit.
Nope. You paid into that. That's your benefit.
Insurance company.
That is all that is an insurance claim. An insurance claim, an insurance policy, Canada Revenue Agency, that is afforded to all public servants. Nice little insurance policy where you can give them half everything you make your entire life to get nothing back out of it.
So for those of us who contracted, let's say, years and years and years ago, under, when it was still unemployment insurance, given certain benefits, which were at the time totally tax deductible, what gave the government the right to change it to the Employment Insurance Act, change the benefits, change the...
Who knows? Do I care?
Without our assent, without our signature.
That's within government. Do I care?
No.
No, I don't. That's proving, that's trying to prove a presumption. That's knowing why the government did something. To be honest with you, I don't care why they did something. It's not my business. I don't care. I'm not a public servant, right? I'm down over here. We can get into that in other days about how basically...
When you're on EI, you are a public servant because when you apply for it and you're on it, they tell you, okay, you gotta look for work. They can pull you into meeting.
That's just conditions of receiving that benefit, just to get you off it as quickly as possible. I don't think they can...
Still, I mean, telling you you have to find work. So is that an order? It's an agreement.
Or we're not going to pay you anything more.
Well,
Of course, it's just a term.
You can conditionally respond. You've paid into it for so many years.
That's what I mean. It's actually your money. You can't put a condition on giving somebody's money back to them. That'd be a whole other arena that I get into. But I haven't filed in 16 years. I don't think I'll be getting EI anytime soon. So I don't care. Right? The only people who care about the EI benefits are employees of the government. And I'm not one. So I don't care. Period.
That's how I often thought about when I got that check. I was like, I'm an employee of the government. I used to think that. It's like, they're paying me. It's my insurance. I know I pay into it. I'm entitled to this. But
Yeah.
getting that check